going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 245. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Joe E. Chestnut, a.k.a. Ian Stockel. E, it's Houston week. How are we feeling?
I'm ready, baby. We were just going over this preview a little bit before we jumped on here, and I could feel the old juices flowing, getting excited for this. Jonesy coming with us for a little birthday present, so that's got me extra excited, man. I'm just ready for this, and we had the Open Cup matchup with them, but I still want some MLS get back.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's first, last, and most, and you can only keep that streak going with a win here this weekend. Houston coming to town, the first of 3 remaining Copita Tejas matches that will take place over the next 5 weeks or so. So we will preview that Houston match. We've got Copita Tejas action on Friday out there at Palmer Field, so we'll talk about North Texas SC coming to town in last business day. We will start with some very significant news that dropped earlier this morning on Wednesday before we get into the rest of episode 245. Just want to remind you all listening or watching on the YouTube channel that you can support the show financially by downloading the audio versions of our episodes wherever you get your podcast. So even if you just like watching us on the YouTube channel, head over to your podcast app, download the episode. You don't have to listen. The download counts for us. Then you can watch on the YouTube. So if you want to go the extra mile, you can rate and review the show wherever you get your podcast. And if you are on the YouTube channel, subscribing to the channel also helps us grow the show. And you can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up, as it kind of feels like one is going to here pretty soon, or a new episode goes live. And of course, here on episode 245, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So not just Jones with us, looks like EG is going to accompany us as well on Saturday. So we'll have all the good Wuju coming back to Soccer Church, coming off the Leagues Cup break here. So it has been a quiet, 10, 12 days since that DC victory on the road. But as I alluded to in the intro here, big news this morning coming across. No Tommy Scoops tweet, no international rumors attached to this one. Just a short and sweet press release from the team that said Austin FC has acquired a 2025 international slot from Philadelphia Union in exchange for $50,000 in 2026 GAM. So why is this so important? Well, we were full up on international slots, as all of the North End faithful know. We can go ahead and come over to our roster and salary cap spreadsheets here at the northendpodcast.com. And we talked about putting that SEI slot on the sheets last episode, Ian, a few episodes back when we were first talking about the season-ending injury list. We misinterpreted the way that this rule is applied. So pulling that text back up here, we'll get a couple zooms and a scroll here. So what had us, and when I say us, I mean me, relaying it to you, the text here at the end of the season ending injury replacement player rules, or the little blurb here in the roster rules and regulations. It says, if the injured player occupies an international roster slot on the senior roster, the replacement player may also be an international player. Now, I took that at first to mean if it's not an international player, then you cannot use an international slot on the replacement player, right? Because the way this read to me, it was kind of like whatever came with the player that goes on the SEI is what you get with this spot. Not so fast, my friends, because this, very vague language, and some of this, like that second bullet point talking about the budget charge of a designated player, like some of this is just excess. So I will shout out our buddy Peach, our buddy Kevin Trahan, who were questioning that interpretation of this rule earlier here on Wednesday. So did a little bit of digging, got some confirmation from 2 national MLS writers who I very much trust know more about this stuff than I do. And they confirmed to us that you can, in fact, use a vacant international slot on an SEI player, even if the player that went on the SEI, as Brandon Vasquez did, was not occupying an international slot. We can slide that SEI player into a DP slot. But now that we have purchased this additional international slot, we can also apply that to a potential SEI player, which opens up the world, like literally.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I said on the last episode, we needed another international slot. I didn't know how we were going to do it. I didn't think this was going to be the way that we did it, but there we go. And like once this came across my desk via your desk,
the desks are emerging.
It became apparently clear or very, very clear that like you could do this, because we wouldn't have made this deal if you couldn't have done this. So like, this is great news, and just like has us on smoke watch right now. Very excited about what's coming down the pipeline here, because something is, because again, this slot will expire at the end of the year. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So like, there's one reason why we're doing this, y'all. It's so that we can bring somebody in from a different country to come in here and take up this slot. That's why this went down. Yeah.
And like, I guess before we get into, and we're going to have to play the drop here in a minute, because I'm going to throw some things out there. So the reason why this opportunity arose, I think, for us to get this slot was Philadelphia's Ty Baribo, right? Who's up there in the Golden Boot race, started really, really hot this year. He just got a green card. So they had that extra slot that is clearly not in their plans here for this secondary transfer window. So similar to how we sold an international slot to Atlanta United this time last year. I think it was August 15th of last year for $75K GAM. So shout out Roto. This is a good deal here from Philly. So we're bringing in this international slot, and because like it could be something like this wouldn't be a high likelihood, but if we had traded some of the additional 2025 GAM that we still have in the coffers, right, which is like, I think it's about 191,000, something like that we had left over. I could see that being just like, hey, let's get this slot in here. Maybe we don't have something coming. But because we know GAM does not expire anymore, and we are already pulling from the 2026 coffers in this trade to bring this slot in, this says to me something is lined up already. And like Smoke Watch is code red right now.
Yep, absolutely. I'm ready, man. I honestly, I had my hopes up, my expectations up on the last episode, feeling pretty confident that Roto was going to have something coming down here. But now I'm through the roof, really, like, because this just seems really big and like something is done. Because I don't think you speculatively buy this and like just kind of just be like, oh, well, we could. So especially when you have that exemption and ready to go with BV, show it to me.
All right, here we go.
Rumors, whispers, made up trades, consequences we never weighed. Logic's thin, the mic is hot. Let's pretend this means a lot. Taking shots from way downtown, hoping no one writes it down. Hot takes flying without hesitation. It's time for some reckless speculation.
All right, so I had one piece of reckless speculation earlier, that has already been squashed by Tommy Scoops himself, and that was the report about Lucho Acosta being on the outs with FC Dallas, and the report on Tuesday was Dallas and Fluminense down there in Brazil had an agreement for Lucho, and they were still working out the personal terms between the Brazilian club and the player. Tom also mentioned on Morning Footy this morning that there was an MLS team trying to work their way in there for the services of Lucho Acosta. And so, like, that got my wheels turning, because, like, that didn't really, like, apply to this international slot because Lucho does have a green card. So he could have been that domestic SEIDP for us. But now that deal is done, and Tom then reported that the San Jose Earthquakes were the team sniffing around Lucho there. So look, man, and as our buddy Ben Magos said, man, and if you bring Cucho back to the Quakes, or not back to the Quakes, but you acquire him, then you could have Chicho and Lucho and Cucho up there in the attack. So Lucho out. We'll talk more about that next week leading into the Dallas match, because that is great for us,
Huge.
especially if they can't, bring in somebody anywhere close to that caliber between now and that September 13th matchup in Frisco. But let's talk about what can actually happen with this spot and my speculation that I am currently huffing the hopium for. The report out of South America that we talked about on Sunday about the Tuti Andrade potential loan deal falling apart over the purchase option, which the club wanted $4 million. Austin reportedly bid $3 million for that. What if we got this international slot, up the ante, and now it's back on? Because that would allow you to, again, Tuti would not be a DP. We would slot him in as a U22. But being able to bring him in here now, figuring out the international slots next year, right? Because like if you don't pick up Obrion's option, he's gone. He's off that list. If you get one green card for the remaining 8 guys who are still under contract going forward, then you're then you're at that 8 number, right? Which is what the team will go back to beginning the 2026 league year. So it could be literally anybody, which I think is raising the excitement level amongst the fan base, because now we have, again, like, was not expected. And now it could be literally anybody, and it could be a real DP. It could be a loan. It could be whatever. But out of the things that just felt like they slipped out of our grasp on Sunday, I have in my own head revived Tuti Andrade.
All right. I don't know if I'm there yet. But I see where you're coming from for sure. As you mentioned, like you said, this opens up the world to us. And I just think it's probably going to be a name that we haven't heard anything about, to be honest with you. That's where I'm putting my chips. And I trust this process. And again, it's just the implication here. You know what I mean? The implication is huge with what this slot offers and everything and what we're looking to do. So I'm excited, man. And I'm ready to get some more help in here for sure.
Yeah, man. So, again, we are on high alert here for Smoke Watch. Something's happening, and it could be a boat. So, anything else for you on this right now? I felt like I had something else to add, but now it's slipping my mind. So it might have just been fuck Houston. So if you want to move on, we can. All
right, let's move on.
All right, so let's talk about this Saturday's match. Again, coming back to league play, Houston Dynamo coming to town for the return leg of the head-to-head series here in MLS play. And we seem to be catching these guys at the right time in terms of our fortune or in terms of their form, which is extremely poor right now. Again, like I mentioned in the intro, it's first, last, and most here between these two teams in favor of Austin FC. 8 wins, no draws still in this all-time head-to-head series. 5 wins for the Dynamo. And, it is also notable in my mind, we need to, in the league, defeat Houston here for a myriad of reasons, but also because I would love to keep Houston on one ever, not just victory, but result all time at Q2 Stadium, which was, of course, last year, September 21st, the 1-0 Coco Karaski bicycle kick right in our face, and pretty much sealing the fate of Houston's now assistant coach, Josh Wolf. So, I mean, that was one of the lowest points for me of the fandom, letting Houston get that win while also kind of slamming the door shut on our playoff hopes in 2024.
Yeah, that was brutal. That was definitely one of the low lights of this entire fandom here. Like, and because it was Coco, man. And like,
I know you hate him.
The way that game had been played, it was so fucking ugly. And he just pulls this bike off right in front of us there in the north end and just rips our heart out. So, yeah, that was an awful, awful night.
Yeah. Well, and then like thinking about the 2 meetings that we've already had this year, right? The 2-0 loss out in Houston back in April. But I know you were saying you were watching some film on that game. And like, you were like, remember, like before Danny's injury, which was like 35th minute, somewhere around there, like it was at worst an even match. Like I think you could say from that first half hour, we were generating the better chances. And it wasn't just the Danny mid-game injury. We were also without Brandon Vasquez in that one because he was sick. So, and then of course, like they come for the Open Cup match, they rotate in the first half, and Austin makes them pay the price with the 3-1 victory, booting Houston out of Leagues Cup, or not Leagues Cup, excuse me, Open Cup, and Austin, of course, advancing. So we had our get back there, right? Season series 1-1, aggregate score 3-3. Like this is for all the marbles this season in what I deem, like you could try to give me your argument for something else if you're a listener. Houston is Austin's biggest rival. And like it just is what it is, man. That is the most animosity we have with any other fan base.
Absolutely. I don't even think it's particularly close, to be honest with you, you know, and the Open Cup matchup there, you know, they were rotated. It's clear that they haven't really given a shit about either of these tournaments that they've been in, with the Open Cup as well as Leagues Cup now, because they didn't even play the majority of their guys the majority of the minutes that were available to them in those Leagues Cup games. That started with what I thought was their most rotated lineup in the first game, where it was like, okay, like maybe we'll see how we perform here, but they were heavily rotated there. So I'm not putting too much stock into that Open Cup matchup with them. I think obviously them being rotated was huge, and we did what we needed to do in regard to getting out in front, because we knew once they brought McGlynn on, I believe they brought Ponce on in the second half as well, that things were going to ramp up a little bit, and they ended up scoring and actually had a very, very solid amount of chances in that second half to really get a second one as well. So kind of fortunate to only give up that one. So I'm looking back to the original game, and as you mentioned, obviously the Pep injury was a huge moment, not only in that game, but the course of this season, because that really kicked off our stretch of just misery where we were unable to put together any sort of coherent performances out there on the pitch. And looking at that Houston game, right, like, and you mentioned us being at least on level footing with them in the first half. Right after that Pep injury, I think it's maybe like 8 minutes after, you have a Zuni one on keeper. You know what I mean? Like there is a defender that's behind him and it's a tight amount of space, but like this is one on keeper in that situation. And like you said, with the BV illness, this is where we saw him, I believe, get his first start at the true 9 position. So now we've seen that has been a bit adjusted, because on the wings in that game, we had Obrian and Buka to start. But now we've gone to this Owen with the Diego pairing and being able to kind of have that little hinge there, a little pivot in the midfield and on that wing as well. That has helped Ozuni out quite a bit. So, and then on top of that, I forgot about this. Their first goal in that matchup was off Owen Wolf's worst play all season. Like he is attempting to clear a ball. He doesn't put enough on it. It goes right to Houston, and a spectacular kind of ricochet shot to beat Brad. But like that was the biggest mistake he made all season long. So it was an ugly game. And like they had some ugly moments too, where it's like they had a breakaway on Brad, and Bassi like scuffs it. That should have been a much more solid attempt. So I'm looking at that game as the one that I'm really putting more stake in. And as we mentioned and talked about here, it was just like we were the better team and we were at full strength in that game, even despite the fact that we weren't at full strength without BV. So like, again, whoever they roll out, they're banged up right now. They're in some really bad form. Whoever they roll out, as long as we don't have those crucial mistakes that we've made in this first game, I feel super confident about our ability to beat this team. They're not very good. And like, even if this wasn't Houston, this is a huge matchup in regard to where we're sitting at in the playoff, the playoff standings, as well as the schedule moving forward here. And this is a big game for them. And like you mentioned, like the two teams that do not like each other, they're going to be up for this. Absolutely. And I know that our guys are going to be as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you mentioned, right, how big this is in the table for both teams, with Austin sitting in sole possession of 7th place on 33 points, a game in hand on Houston, who's in 11th place, but just 6 points back, right? So this is going to be a huge result for either team if they can pull all three here. And you mentioned like they are beat up a little bit, but one guy they've gotten back since we last saw them is Lawrence Anali. He's one of their U22 players, and he spent time early in the season on the injured list. So the difference between, right, the season-ending injury list and just the injured list keeps you out 6 weeks. It may be 6 matches, but it's 6 weeks or 6 matches, and then you can come back. So almost like, right, in the NFL, you go on short-term IR, it's 4 games minimum, right? So that's a similar roster function there here in MLS. And dude, the first time I saw this Anali kid, he was running away from literally everybody, like in the stadium, in the state. Like he's fast as shit.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned about him.
Yeah, I am too. And it's based off one play, really, where it's like he is running a ball down.
Impression.
the defender has the ball, is at midfield, and he catches him from, good Lord, like 20 yards back, and like doesn't just catch him, just like blows by him. So yes, I am also very afraid of his speed, and his ability to open up that game, because as we know with Book and everything, it's just something that you can't entirely account for if someone is just a ridiculously fast human. So I am worried about that for sure. I know you got some news on Ponce though, which I think is a much larger loss if that is the case than it is to get Anali back, in regard to that being a net positive.
Yeah. Well, and wrapping up their Leagues Cup results, as you mentioned, they rotated some in all three of their phase one matchups and lost all three, smacked 4-1 by Tigres, which was a fun watch, in terms of the Schadenfreude there. Rotated heavily against Mazatlan, 2-0 loss there. Hey, we feel you on the 2-0 to Mazatlan, Houston. And then last night against Pachuca, rotated a little bit, 2-1 loss there. But they're winless in their last 5 across all competitions, 2 wins, a draw, and 7 losses. And in terms of those, the player personnel, the individuals here, you mentioned Ezequiel Ponce. He is still really their only consistent goal scoring threat that they've had this season. He's got 7 league goals with 8.6 XG. So underperforming his expected goals there just by a hair. And nobody else on this team has more than 3 league goals, which again, like if you compare Houston and Austin, that's like, okay, it's standard practice, but like neither team has been good with their offensive output this year, and nobody else on their team has more than 2.8 XG. So like all of that is pretty in line for the Dynamo. And Ponce, to your point earlier, Ponce was questionable before the last league match against Philadelphia. He started in that game and played 37 minutes before being subbed off. That was listed as a lower body injury coming into that Philadelphia game. He was a DNP for all 3 Leagues Cup games. So like, I would say he's probably questionable at best. I have not seen any reports or updates on Ponce from any of the Houston beat writers. But that's a huge win for us if he is not able to go.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of shocked by those numbers, right, with Jack McGlynn. And I don't want to just kind of gloss over what I think of him, because I think he's a really fantastic player as well. But Ponce is very, very dangerous, man. He's been great since they got him. And like, this would be a huge loss. I do think obviously they were being very cautious with him in this Leagues Cup stretch, particularly with the fact that they didn't really want to go for it, as could be seen by what they rolled out there. But like, losing him would be huge for them, because he generates a lot of goals. And if you remember back to that first game, I mean, he gets, I believe, the PK on Brad, and or at least scores on Brad, and had some words for Brad for sure. I remember him running off and kind of chirping at him. So I'd be happy not to see that guy. Lingerer as well. Once they acquired him, he's a good talent. You know what I mean? He's definitely got some skill as well. Artur, we know, a bit of a bastion there in the midfield. My least favorite player in the league, most likely, Amin Bassi up front. So, they have some skill. They have some talent. Their defense is not something I really respect too much, and they've had some struggles at keeper as well. So, like, this team, again, if we play our best game, I don't think that they can hang with us. And, we're going to have to be on top of our game, because this is crunch time now, man.
Yeah. If Ponce does not play in this one, it could be our guy Linger there. We got to do this, E.
Fucking Lingerer, man.
Yeah, totally.
Linger.
Hardcore.
Hardcore.
It could hardcore. Fuck. What's a G-Bert? They could start Linger. They could start Anali at the 9. He started at I guess really like the nominal 9, because I think him and Linger will kind of float in and out of that spot. So a false 9, if you want to call it that. But we know that guy's talented. He was the one right that you mentioned that took that Owen Wolf wayward pass, that little kind of scoop pass, right, that just had nothing on it. He's the one who blasted that first goal in, and then you were right, it was Ponce, assisted by Griffin Dorsey, who continues to be impressive, at least to me, man. And it takes a lot for me to say that about a fucking Houston player, but like, to watch that kid's progression at the right back position over the last few years, like, he still leads this team in progressive carries and progressive passes received.
Mhm.
You mentioned Jack McGlynn, right? He leads them in progressive passes, which is not a shock at all. But those guys have kind of been the hubs of progression offensively for Houston this year. And then when you do have your boy Amin Bassi in there, or even like a Sebastian Kowalczyk, who we've seen less of this season, those guys are also both very, very involved with their offensive buildup, which hasn't been great this year, man. Like they are bottom half in the league in both goals scored and goals conceded. They are 8th in possession, just shy of 53% per game. And I'm not sure, because like Ben Olsen wants to play with the ball. He wants to play with possession.
Yep.
He and Josh Wolf are somewhat aligned in their styles of play, right? But like I'm not sure if that possession number is buoyed by their purpose, or it's buoyed because they've been behind in a number of games this season, and we know that can skew possession statistics. So I don't know if I'm reading too much into that right now. And they are tied with Austin. 8 clean sheets apiece for these two teams. So, like, you do still have to respect their defense. And that, similar to Austin, has kept them out of that wooden spoon conversation this year, I think, right? Because the offense just really isn't clicking for them either.
I'll touch on Griffin Dorsey quick, because yes,
Sure.
I think he's been great on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think he's a good defender. I don't even think he's a average defender in this league. I think he really struggles with his positioning, and like I can't remember a Griffin Dorsey tackle since we've seen this Houston. I really can't. I don't know if someone can point me to him dispossessing someone and taking the ball off of one of our offensive players. Please show me, because I don't really remember it. And I also want to talk about their recent form as well. I mean, even if you go a little back a little bit farther, and you go back to the end of May, like this team has 2 wins in that entire time frame here. And they do have that surprising kind of insane result that they got versus San Diego 4-3, but they also have a 3-1 drop to Montreal. You know what I mean? Like they had, that was a sandwiched in between 2 other games where they lost 3-1. So like this team is just real, like you said, they could be competing for the wooden spoon if some other things weren't going right for them right now. So like this is a club that you got to beat, man, particularly at home. You got to handle your business with that. They got the 3 at their place. They defended their home turf. All 74 people cheered. Now we get to come to Q2 and like take care of our business versus, again, my most hated team by a wide margin. Yeah,
same here. And to your point, Griffin Dorsey, just shy of 1,800 minutes this season, 9 tackles won. So good pull by you there. So like it does happen. Yeah. But like you not seeing it is not surprising.
Yeah, I don't think he does not play defense. Like he's great in transition, and he is definitely somebody you have to account for. I think he had the first good chance in that game versus Houston down there in Houston off the left foot. But like again, he can be beat. So I'm interested to see what he's going to have his hands full with, particularly if that's Owen, because that's a different level of like skill set there, where it's like somebody who can also distribute, get people set up and everything. So fuck Griffin Dorsey.
Houston second to last in shots on target per game. So again, this is a team that you really shouldn't be giving up multiple goals to, which I'm sure, again, like the North End equivalent of any other team facing us is saying the same thing about Austin when they come to town this season. But they're 24th in big chances created, just 21st in touches in the opposition's penalty area, 24th in possession won in the opponent's final third. So like they're not going to press you a ton. And you wouldn't think with how hot it's forecasted to be this Saturday that they're going to come out and really put the pedal to the metal on the road in that fashion. And they will still hack the fucking shit out of you, first in the league in fouls per match and 4th in yellow cards. So you combine their physical nature with the intensity of this rivalry, and I expect there to be some fireworks in terms of the disciplinary stuff and the cautions flying here. I believe the only guy we still have on caution is Danny Pereira. And I would love for him to avoid a yellow card this weekend to play up there in Dallas next week. And if you want to get one in Dallas and miss the Montreal trip, all right, I'm fine with that. But like, we need Danny, which we've seen. I don't want to go back to May, man. That was no Danny, no party for an entire fucking month.
Yeah. Like you said, this is going to be a physical game. This is going to be a hot, tension-filled game as well. So I would not be surprised to see Pep get a little get a little punishment in this matchup. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully he can keep us cool, but still at the same time, we're not backing down from these guys. And like they want to get physical, we can do all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So like talking about us here, we did get We Are Us in TV, right? We talked about on Sunday's episode that they had reported a source told them that there was going to be that friendly between Austin and Charleston Battery on Sunday. They reported that the final score of that match was 4-0 Austin. So you love to see that. And
Indeed.
then they also had the goal scorers: Osman Bukhari, Besar Sabovic, CJ Fodre, and Hot Air Obrian finds the back of the net. So like,
go.
look, man, like if that can get Obi or Sabo or CJ going, clearly Osman continuing his form against the lesser competition there over the weekend. But that's about all you can ask for. Absent any injuries or knocks that may have been picked up, we don't have any reports of that. So we'll have to wait until either Thursday's media availability or the official injury report coming out on Friday. That's really all I'm looking for the rest of this week is only Brandon Vasquez on the injury report this Friday. No surprises.
Absolutely. That is definitely what I'm keeping my eye on as well.
Well, we talked about the playoff scenarios, right, and the probabilities on Sunday's episode. And so one thing that I want to incorporate in our previews the rest of the way is something from that website, playoffstatus.com, that will, by their model, right, tell us what the most important results are for Austin on the upcoming match day. So obviously Austin to win is our number one goal here this weekend. But the other two results that we should be keeping our eyes on, Minnesota and Colorado play. Minnesota beating Colorado by their model is the most important external result for us this weekend. And you got to feel good about that one because Colorado apparently just blew it up, dude. Like now we're, it's the transfer window, so we can talk about these other, MLS happenings going on. Georgi Mihailovic gets sold for $8 million plus add-ons to Toronto. And apparently he asked for the move to happen after Toronto inquired. I don't know if I feel great about that for our best ball team. Like I don't think that's good for us. But that is certainly a great sign for Austin and securing one of these top 7 slots. Because without Mihailovic, man, I don't see Colorado jumping out of that wild card, and they probably drop below the 9 seed. There's also rumors that teams are sniffing around Rafa Navajo now. And I think the report this morning was Colorado's not intending to sell him, but they're listening at least. So like if they completely just go into the rebuild here over the next couple weeks, that's one team off the board that you don't really have to worry about.
I mean, what a rough go for those fans, man. Because what was it, 2023, when they were really just in full-on protest,
boycotting and everything. And then they beat us, of course.
Then they kind of have a bounce back here last year there, right? With they made playoffs or whatever, and now you're potentially selling 2 of your best players. That really sucks. I feel for them because from the games I've seen from Colorado this year, it looks like the stands have been, and the fans have really shown up and been excited about this team. So, sucks to suck. It's not my problem, bro.
I really feel for those fans. It sucks to suck. That third result we're looking at is Red Bulls against RSL. Red Bulls beating RSL would be great for our playoff probabilities this match day. So I guess just talking about our lineup here, same 11, right?
I'm barring like we talked about, barring any sort of injury, barring any sort of knock, but you would also expect guys like Ilya and Diego to be full go now. They've had plenty of time off. I'm not expecting any sort of knee flare-ups or anything like that. So yes, it's the same starting 11 for me. And I don't really see any reason why you would try to get cute with this and be like, okay, we're going to change this up or whatever. So I feel really confident that we're going to see the same 11. The question is Boloko and those guys, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where is Boloko getting on the team, and what that presents. But for the first starting 11, yeah, man, keep it moving here. Keep the same club.
Well, and I think the only way I could see them changing the starting 11 if there is a specific matchup thing here that we don't see because we're not watching all of the film that the coaching staff is, right? And that they see, oh, if we start, I don't know, Robert Taylor over Diego Rubio, that's going to give us an advantage in XYZ department. But like this 11 has been so good again against bad teams. Yep. This is a bad team coming to our house.
Yep, it is.
So like, I'm glad you brought up Boloko because, right, we kind of expected him to be on the bench at DC, didn't make the trip. But now this week, dude, Monday's practice, little hype video they put out, the still images they put out today on Wednesday, building up towards the weekend. Both of those posts have featured Nicky Boloko in training along with the guys, right? It's no longer that he's not included in the pictures. It's no longer that it's just his individual work on the side, right? Like I expect this guy who we went out and got here early in the summer window, right? The guy was here to start July. As soon as he could be working with our team, he was here. So I expect him to be on the bench, but like we've discussed before, that means somebody has to be left off. And we'll get a very easy answer on if it's CJ Fodre or not based on his activity or inactivity with the second team on Friday. I think position agnostic, CJ is the one that I would have like at the North End Sportsbook as the favorite to be left out of the 20 here. Just because of the relative experience of the other guys on the bench the last few games. But it could be a battle in that midfield between Dubrsarski, Boloko, Sabovic, like Ilie. Again, I don't think those guys get left out, but if you think about the positional scarcity of forward, especially if you start Diego Rubio, you're only like out and out forward, your striker to throw on late who can go out there, jump up over everybody and try to get a late winner is CJ. So like I am going to be very interested to see who gets left out here because again, this is a good problem to have. You should have this type of competition within the team. We're a little imbalanced in terms of where the depth is positionally.
Yeah. My three would be CJ, Duber, Komanich.
Okay.
I think, it push comes to shove, you could always play Johnny at one of the back positions, the wing back kind of positions, and allow him to be in there. And then, like you said, keep that positional scarcity not too detrimental to the club by having the CJ option. But, of course, there's some downside to that. We've seen what Zahn has been able to do in late moments of games in regards to his balls crossing in and everything like that. So, like, those are my three. But I would put my money on CJ.
Well, it's like, do you think, like, which guy is more important in a come-from-behind situation, Komanich or CJ? It's Komanich, I think, right?
Yes,
like,
I agree. Yep.
So, again, it's going to be very interesting to see. But I would be more surprised if Boloko's left out of the team here. And that would be a red flag to me. It's like, you've been here a month and a half, brother, and you can't break into this team? Like, we're using an international slot on this guy.
Yeah. Could it be hot air? I mean,
it could be.
If you feel good
Mr.
about
Grumps.
You got to feel good about Robbie Taylor on the wing there. That's potential. Yeah, we're speculating too much here. I do hope Boloko gets in the lineup. Yeah.
That's a good thing we played the drop earlier here, E. Anything else for you on this game right now?
No.
All right. One thing left to do. How much is Austin FC winning by on Saturday?
I wanted to say 3-1, but I think Brad gets another clean sheet here, so we're going to go 2-0.
Nice. Yeah. I like it. I was thinking 2-0. I don't like doing the same thing you do, so I'll go 2-1. But I like your prediction better, which I think is happening a little too often this season. So a 2-0 for E, 2-1 for me. Don't care how you get it done, boys. Got to beat Houston.
Come on down to Farmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's Lost Business Day.
Last business day here on episode 245 of the North End Podcast, E, and we have, again, a Copita Tejas matchup on Friday at the pitch. This is a 7:30 kickoff out there at Palmer Field, North Texas SC, of course, FC Dallas's next pro affiliate coming to town. The defending MLS Next Pro champs, the last two Next Pro champs squaring off in this matchup. And again, we have seen North Texas twice already this season. Back in April, they came down to Parma, 1-1 draw in that one, and Austin dropped the additional point in the shootout. But then you go up to Choctaw in June, and you steal all 3 points by a 2-1 scoreline. That was one of the better wins of the season for FC To. I think that Ventura County on the road 1-0 was a very good win with the way Ventura has been playing this season. And North Texas, man, since we last saw them in June, has been struggling. Just 8 points from their last 8 league matches. And you can see in the table now, both teams on 19 points. North Texas now 2 points behind Austin FC2, even though they have the additional win. 33 goals for, but 39 against for North Texas. So this is a team that will give it up at the back. 39 goals against is third most in the Western Conference here this season. They are led by Sam Sarver as number 28E. And Sam Sarver doesn't just lead North Texas. He leads MLS Next Pro in the Golden Boot race with his 15 goals, 3 assists for good measure in his 19 appearances. That is 3 more goals than anybody else in MLS Next Pro. Which again, like, we only really talk about and focus on the Western Conference here because we only play Western Conference teams in this league. But there's an entire Eastern Conference over there that is just kind of unknown to us here in Last Business Day. So, like, to be that far ahead of the field is a really impressive stat for Sarver. And he also won the MVP of, they did that silly game. I forget what it was. I mean, it's silly this year now that we're not in it. But, like, the little championship game between the second division of Liga MX and Next Pro. Like, we played Cancun last year at the pitch and won that, right? Big champions. And then, you know, they did a little friendly or whatever for Choctaw and at Choctaw for North Texas. But Sarver was the MVP of that game, and that's no surprise based on, like, his league form, man. This is one of the best players in the league, certainly in the attacking half.
Yeah, this is the guy that we're going to have to account for, and if you can stop him, you got to feel good about your chances given their defense. You know, I was just looking over some of their results and everything. Houston scored 9 goals on them in 3 games. You know what I mean? They got a five goal game. They got another 3 goal game there as well. So, like, this is definitely a team that gives up goals. And if you can limit Sarver, you got to feel good about your chances here. And 2 teams that are obviously going in opposite directions right now. Austin improving, climbing this table, climbing up this ladder. North Texas really struggling to find their footing. So keep this, keep this form that we've had with this Austin FC2 club as of late. It's looked really good.
Also, homegrown number 43, Tarek Scott, 5 goals and an assist in his 15 appearances. And then another homegrown, Anthony Ramirez, in the midfield there, wearing number 51, 1 goal, team leading 6 assists in his 15 appearances. So again, we know FC Dallas, right, has a well-developed academy. They have a lot of these homegrown kids, both on the first team supplemental and those off-roster homegrowns that you can have now. That those kids are populating a lot of the roster slots on this North Texas team. So obviously, rivalry match, talented side, even though they have, you know, some inconsistent results of late. This is a very important match here. Again, now that you have worked your way into the top 8 and you're right there to be competing for a top 4 spot, because you got to remember, right, you get into that top 4, you get that pick your opponent benefit here in the first round of the Next Pro playoffs. So that's where you want to be. And FCTO has done a great job getting back into position and, like, talking about what we could see from our guys. Again, like, CJ could be active for this one if he's not going to be in the 20 for the first team on Saturday. And that obviously raises the floor that you have and the ceiling offensively for Austin FC2. I would love to see CJ get out there and get 75, maybe even a full 90 if he's not going to be in the team. And let's get CJ and Jimmy back together, man. That was so deadly last year. Like, I would love to see that if we're giving CJ second team minutes, I'm tuning in to watch those 2 guys play together.
Yeah, and then the limited amount of times they've had this year have been really fun as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like if that's the case and CJ's not on the team, of course would love to see him there. What about we got about 9 games left, right? But it's 29 games, 28 game season for these guys.
Something like that. Let me check the fixtures
So,
here for FC To. There's 9
okay.
games left. There you go.
Okay. So, like we're in the spot where it's like you can really solidify yourself in that top 4 and go ahead and have the ability to pick your own opponent. And with the way that this team has been playing right now, the way that Alistue has been playing, the contributions that we've been getting from some of the new guys here. So, I'm feeling good about our chances here. This has been quite the turnaround for this team. And again, they have the premier guy, the goal scoring threat in this league. And they have, I wasn't familiar with, I believe you said Ramirez there, 6 assists. So a guy who can distribute. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to jump out on a limb here and say that a couple of those assists have gone to Sarver. So like being able to stop that 1-2 combination is where you're going to make your money here, man. And I feel really good about Austin FC 2 right now. I think they've looked really good as of late.
Yeah, again, like you've got positional battles here, which is something that you want to have, especially when you're winning. Keeping an eye on Vlad Danshutu and Peter Grogan up top. I would be shocked if Vlad gets rotated out here with the form that he's in, scoring his first 2 goals. But we know those guys are battling every week in practice. Got to keep an eye on the injury report, right, for Ruben Bonachera. Does he get back into the starting lineup here? On Antonio Gomez, is he back and healthy? Like maybe he comes off the bench in his return. Jacobaro as well. So like these are guys, right? Like guys that are pretty much game in, game out starters that were not active against Sporting last week, and the team still gets it done. And of course, a lot of that was the work of Jorge Alistue, who again, like just the last reckless speculation for the episode, dude. I was joking to a friend this morning that the international slot was to sign Jorge Alistue to a supplemental roster slot. Joking aside, get Jorge a green card. I'm super down to sign that kid to the first team on a supplemental. Keep him as one of the leaders here on the second team, but like you're in a pinch, Open Cup minutes next year, things like that. Like he's one of the few kids that I think stands out so much where you're like, it would make sense to keep him around in a first team capacity.
Agreed. I've been really singing his praises all season long since he came on the scene, man. Like,
that's a good point.
He's really been great since he came on the scene.
Yeah. All right. Anything else for you on this one?
No.
All right. How much are we beating North Texas by on Friday?
Look, I think we're going to score some goals. I think we found our form here, so I'm going to go 3-1.
Fuck you, dude. All right. We're going the same here. Fucking next week, I'm going first. 3-1 for me. 3-1 for E. Don't care how you get it done, boys. We got to win these rivalry matches. And E, I think, like, no nonsense, right? There's no best ball to report. I'm excited to get back to the best ball scores here this week. I think, like, when the transfer window draft comes up in about 2.5 weeks, we may have some moves to make with RSL bringing in another striker. So, like, see you, Willie. Thanks for the couple months, Like, we'll have to assess Georgi Mihailovic. I don't think we can drop him, but, like, that's not great. Nope. So we'll see on best ball. But, of course, on Saturday morning, you can come to the northendpodcast.com and check out the picks article. Every couple weeks I see somebody mention somewhere, I don't bet on MLS. I can't win MLS. Well, you're clearly not following the North End podcast because, look, between Underdog Fantasy and the sports books, if you would put down just $10 on every pick that we've given out to this point of the season, you'd be up $743. So, like, that's pretty good. We're winning consistently. NorthEndPodcast.com. They're free, y'all. They're free. Look, if you want to join in on Underdog Fantasy, you can sign up using our promo code. The MLS season is here. If you want to make some picks on your favorite players in sports, check out Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game. You choose higher or lower on between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. Underdog is available in 33 states, including right here in Texas. To sign up, click the link in the description of this video and use promo code NORTHEND at sign up, and you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick to get you started. So join the millions of fans who have won billions on Underdog. I just wanted to remind the people out there that we're winning here, not just with Austin FC, but with the picks, E. So anything else for you here before we shut it down? One of our shortest episodes in a while.
Look, man, I was going to say that, I was almost as excited to Gramble this weekend as I am for Houston. If this wasn't a Houston game, I'd probably be more excited about making some money. But since it is Houston, I'll put that at the front of the list. But yeah, I'm excited to throw some shekels down here, make some money on the weekend. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we appreciate you tuning in, sticking with us here on, a relatively abbreviated episode 245 of the North End podcast. You can keep it very short and succinct. It's fuck Houston all day, every day, and twice this Saturday. So we will see everybody at the Q on Saturday to beat Houston, and then back here on Sunday to recap that match for the first team, recap the second team's match, and talk about everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then. We are still on high alert for Smoke Watch, so hit that notification bell on YouTube to know when the live stream potentially pops up here in the coming days or weeks. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We'll do the same, and we'll see you back here on Sunday for another episode of the North End podcast. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Fuck Houston.